For the past 10 years, I've been shooting with Canon cameras for all of my professional work. Then I discovered this lens, and because of its incredible range and versatility, I sold all of my Canon gear and now I shoot with Sony full time. So I guess you could say that the Tamron 35-150 f2 to 2.8 rocks. So when I was shooting with Canon for all those years, it never bothered me that they didn't open up the RF mount to third-party lenses. So we're gonna use concert photography as our reference point in this video. And when I was shooting with Canon, I was using the RF 15 to 35 2.8, the 24 to 70 2.8, and the 70 to 200 f4. And now that I'm shooting with Sony, my kit only really includes two lenses, those being the Sony 16 to 35 2.8 GM Mark II and that Tamron 35-150 f2 to 2.8. f2 to 2.8. That is insane. And when I first heard about this lens, I thought it was too good to be true. So I rented it. I shot a performance art show at this little tiny venue here in Vegas, and the results that I got from it are exactly what I was looking for. I stood on the very back wall of this venue, and with the range of this thing, I could do anything. I could get any shot. I could get a wide shot of the whole crowd. I could zoom in and get the performer on the stage, no problem. And I was in the complete back. It was dark in there. I mean, the lighting was terrible, but because of the low aperture on this thing, and with that zoom range, I had no problems. The thing just worked. So then I bought it. And this past week I had a great opportunity to put it through its paces at two different concerts, one being a secret Slipknot show that was out in the middle of nowhere in California, and the other a major event, Sick New World, a big festival right here in Las Vegas. So the show at the small venue was out at Joshua Tree in California, and it was really a small little saloon style place, and the only thing lighting the entire crowd and basically the band up were these rope lights. The Tamron was perfect for this environment because no matter where I was at, I had the range and low light capabilities to get the shots that I needed. I was able to get close-ups and full crowd shots with the same lens. I mean, what more could you want? A couple days later, I shot Slipknot's show at Sick New World in Las Vegas. And here's where I was really able to utilize this lens's superpower. And maybe it's not so much the lens's superpower, but the camera that you pair it with. So I was shooting with the Sony A7 R5, which I have it mounted on right now. And this camera is 61 megapixels, which is a lot. Those file sizes can be brutal at times, but it's worth it when you have the ability to crop in so much. I mean, that's a huge amount of information going into a file. But it also has the ability to turn this camera with the click of a button into an APS-C camera, a crop sensor camera. So I have a custom button on here. I hit that, and all of a sudden this lens goes from a 35 to 150 to essentially a 52 to 225. Just incredible range. Now, when you do that, the file sizes are no longer 61 megapixels, they're down to 26, but it gives you that different perspective so you can actually see what you're shooting without having to think about cropping it later. And that versatility and range and those options on here, I just love having those options. And when it's as easy as a click of a button, you know, I am really liking these Sony cameras. So at Sick New World, I was able to get those long distance shots from the ground up to the tall stage of the band, but also just some great shots of the crowd right up front. Once again, exactly what I was looking for. So we have to address the elephant in the room, and that of course is the size of this lens. It is a fairly chonky boy, but the thing is it's replacing two other lenses in my bag, so it's taking up less space, so there's that right out of the gate. And when you compare this to some other, we'll call them freak of nature lenses that Canon makes in the RF mount, it's actually not that heavy considering what it offers you. Let's break down the numbers here. All right, the Tamron 35-150 weighs 1,165 grams, which is 2.57 pounds. Now you compare that to the Canon RF 2870 f2, which a lot of, wedding and event photographers love to use that lens. That thing comes in at 1,430 grams or 3.15 pounds. It's a big one, and you don't have nearly the versatility of the Tamron. And then there's the Canon RF 24-105 f2.8, which when that came out, I was very intrigued by it. I thought that maybe that would be the perfect concert lens. But it's really expensive and it's really big. That thing comes in at 1,330 grams or 2.9 pounds. So even with the insane versatility of the Tamron 35-150, it comes in lighter and smaller than the other, once again, freak of nature lenses that are out there. Plus it gives you the benefits of E-mount lenses that, you know, you have the custom buttons on here and everything. I love those custom buttons. They're so useful, and it's something that I didn't know I needed in my life until I had it. Plus you can plug in the Tamron 35-150 into your computer via USB-C, and you can update the firmware. You can customize the lens in a few different ways. For example, you can take the focus ring and make that an aperture ring, and it has 3 different modes which you can fully customize on here. And I don't know really of any other lenses that do that. Maybe there are some out there, but I'm not sure. But I do know for a fact that that is awesome, and that is definitely the future of how lenses are gonna work. And Tamron, they might just be pioneering that. So as you can hear and see, I love this lens. I'm very satisfied with my purchase. And even after only 1 weekend of using it with, like, you know, some pretty heavy use over 1 weekend, I can say pretty confidently that this is one of the most effective tools, one of the best lenses that I've ever bought for what I do. And it's also an effective video lens because you have some weight behind it, and of course you have that range and that low aperture. So if you're looking for the ultimate get her done lens for event photography, especially event photography, this is probably the one. At the moment, it comes in at $17.99, which, let's face it, that is a lot of money. But when you compare this to other lenses in this category, which there are none, then it's a pretty fair price. Now, I sold my Canon gear. You know, I sold that 24-70 and the 70-200. Selling those 2 lenses, even used, I came out ahead, even buying this lens brand new, which is crazy. That just shows you the value proposition here. It's very high. And let's face it, if you slapped a Sony or Canon logo on a lens like this, they would probably charge you $3,200 to $3,500. It would be unbelievably expensive. So I think that $17.99 for this is more than fair. It's a complete steal and totally worth it. So there are my thoughts on the Tamron 35-150 f2 to 2.8. I cannot wait to take this thing on the road with me this summer, see what I can get with it. I kind of feel like I can just do anything when I pair this up with my Sony a7 R5. If you have any questions or anything about this lens, make sure you're putting them in the comments below. And if you're just checking out the channel for the first time, subscribe if you like what you see. I'm gonna be doing a whole lot of traveling and music stuff this summer, so it's gonna be a good time, and I hope you join me on that journey. All right, that is it. Thanks for checking the video out. I will see you on the next one. Also, this lens is perfect for getting in those reps when you don't have a gym. It's actually not that heavy. But if you did 1,000 reps, maybe, just maybe,